Hello, everybody. This is Noah and John, and we are from UrbanDigs, and it is Monday, so you're going to get your Brooklyn weekly market update. John, let's get right to it. I'm looking at the supply. It looks like it's ticking up a little bit, 3144. Show me that chart.
It is 3144. That's 1.9% higher than last week. And we, Noah, like in Manhattan, are starting to see supply return to the Brooklyn market here.
Yeah, we're seeing the same trend, supply up, demand down. It's a reversal of the events. It's what happens during the listing season. We are in September. We try to get that point across that this is the time that those things happen. If you're looking for a turnaround in that, John, you have to wait till October. So let's look at pending sales in Brooklyn. Came in at 3,075. It looks like it's ticking down, but I don't know, Johnny. Why don't you show me that chart?
It is ticking down. 3,075 is about 1.5% lower than it was last week. And I wouldn't necessarily say that demand is down in Brooklyn as if it's just deflated a little bit. It's just like we let a little air out of that balloon, but it's that helium is still pushing that balloon right up to the ceiling.
I will stand corrected, John. We are down from a very, very high point. I will agree with you. When we look at where we are, we're still very high. I just want to point out, folks, that this is the first time in a little while, all right, we've mentioned this, that we got more supply in Brooklyn than we do deals in contract right here. And that is why the market pulse right over here is now below 1. Right. So if you want to know where that came from, if I click on that chart just for a second, that chart looks like this. We hit a high of about 1.14 in July. And that's why we call this the pulse, because this is the real time look at the market. And if you look at this thing and you cling to it, you can kind of get a relational, situational awareness of which way we're going. And that was the tick down I was referring to. But when I draw that line, John, let me just change this for a minute. That's where it is. Yeah. So we're only back to like what, June, July levels, and we're just off the highs.
I mean, I love this chart, and for many reasons. And I mean, yes, we are certainly off the highs, no doubt about it, but we are still Brooklyn is still firmly in seller market territory. So yes, there's a little bit more supply out there, but if you're a buyer, maybe you have a chance to grab something, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a deal in terms of negotiation power anytime soon.
That is an excellent point. More so than Manhattan. I would definitely agree with that. Let's go to the weeklies, Johnny. I'm looking at them. Supply in Brooklyn came in at 292. Please show me that chart.
292. Indeed, Noah, that's down 1.4% from last week, or 4 listings if you want to have the actual number. It's still coming on, but it's really not at the level you're going to need to make a big difference in supply right now.
Yeah, especially when I look at the 1 week contract signed, they're at 145, and I'm looking at this number, it's up 21%. You're looking at that net stuff kind of thing going on. I see net positive in supply, but that's not the kind of trend that's going to help that out. Johnny, show me that chart.
Yeah, so contract signs are just back up again. They're still below that magic 200 number in Brooklyn that for some reason we think is magic, but it signifies a lot of deals. But 145 deals in September, which is normally their slowest month of the year, not shabby at all.
I would agree with that. Again, October, November, expect a bump up. Buyers, this is your window, buyers. This is your time to take that market little leverage that's now in your favor relative to where we were and try to utilize it. It's probably going to start turning around the other way soon. Let's move on to the chart du jour, Johnny. We are looking at the Brooklyn rental market, and we're going to do our paces here. Johnny, why don't you show us what we're looking at?
Well, so this is just this is new listings in Brooklyn on the rental side. And, one of the things that grabs me here, Noah, is that we see that huge spike post-COVID. And then, we're here, a brand new rental market, typically the peak, the summer, but the new supply numbers aren't as high as they were either after COVID or in the summer of 2019.
Exactly. Look at that trend and look at what's going on. I'm going to draw a line. I always like to do this exercise and draw a line and get an idea of where we're at. And I could see we're kind of closer. Let me just change to an hour. We're closer to down here are these low bars than we are from well up here or even down over here. And that trend is certainly very clear, straight kind of down. So let's see if there's any change there. Let's look at landlords taking listings off the market and what that trend is, Johnny. And what do you see over here?
Well, it's a very similar trend to the one we looked at in Manhattan last week. And you see that big flag, right, post-COVID as they're trying to get some inventory under control. And it's basically been declining since. And now we're at levels that we haven't seen in quite a while. I mean, we're below even where we were in a so-called normal market, even the summer, the winter, the peak markets. That's a sign that, we're not seeing it in the actives. We're not seeing it in the off markets. They're frankly, no, there's just not a lot of stuff out there right now.
That's right. That's right. And then you look at the pace of lease signed, right? The pace of lease activity in those deals, right? From the rental deals being signed. And this is what the chart looks like over there. And when we do the same exercise, I mean, we'll call a spade. We are going down, right? We are going down. But when I draw that line across of where we're going down, I mean, we're still at that higher level. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to the inventory, which is on that lower kind of channel.
Yeah. And it's, you know, the peak is not as sharp as it was back in 2019. It's like it didn't ramp right up and then fall back down. It's a much more stabilized thing. So yeah, are lease signs going to decrease into the winter? Most likely, yes. But I don't think we're going to see the levels that we saw in 2019. I think we're probably going to.
I completely agree. I think this is going to start going the other way. And this is going to turn out in hindsight in another month and a half, 2 months, this is going to be a blip. Where again, that brief window where I think you're getting a little bit of leverage on the renter side or on the buy side until it all changes. So we'll see. And finally, if we take all that into account, guys, take all that and mix it into a bucket and take a look at what it is the pressure on the downside or is the pressure on the upside to inventory? And clearly, John, this chart is very, very clear that like Manhattan, it is on the downside over here. And until this reverses and you see something like that, renters are just going to kind of have a little bit of pressure out there.
Yeah. I mean, you can still see this, you know, as long as it's hovering close to zero, you're going to feel like, oh, okay, there's units out there to rent. I'm not feeling too squeezed, but when this starts getting down below 500 into the, like, that's just, it feels like there's just nothing out there and you're just going to feel squeezed as a tenant.
All right, John, let's go over finally those rents. All right, here are those rents. You aggregate all this stuff up. It is a lot of data, and you look at those median last asking rents, and this is something that you could trust. You could see the trend is very clear. Those trends are going up, and you could also see when that turnaround was. It looks like it was maybe March, maybe April, and then once you got into May, the rental market recovery really started to kick up a little bit, Johnny.
Yeah, and I think, Noah, that the interesting thing here is this is a very slow trend. This is sort of, you know, each month is a little incrementally more than the previous month. And to me, that's a very stable sign. I don't think we're going to see much of a drawdown into the winter. And in fact, I think this might form the basis in the spring for another set of rental increases.
Excellent, John. It's always to get good color of what's going on in the Brooklyn rental market. Thank you for pulling up all that data. That is John Walkup of UrbanDigs. I am Noah Rosenblatt of UrbanDigs. Don't forget, guys, if you guys got questions, we got answers. Please visit our forum. Until then, this has been your Brooklyn Weekly Market Update, and we'll catch you next time.